Okay, big video, no editing, as much editing. It's gonna be straight through gameplay, possibly because it's that serious, guys. It's just the video. This video is kind of is real serious. So let's just try to be, get the shooting giggles, the retardism out of us right now. So okay, good, we're good. Alright, let's start. I don't know how to start this video off, but we should all learn a lesson from Justice League Season 1, the three-part finale titled The Savage Times. Because what happened on Saturday, July 13th, 2023, really scares me when it comes to the fate of our country. A shot was heard all over the world, and all I can see online is that Trump's assassination attempt was staged. I see those on the right claiming this is their chance to strike again. I see those on the left saying he deserves it. All I can say is that both camps are fucking retarded, regressive, raging fuckwads who are the exact problem that's wrong with this country. No matter what you say, do, think, or preach, etc., you should never be met with a violent response. The only similarity you have in common with the assassin is being brain dead. The Savage Times is a masterpiece of animation, especially when I saw it as a kid. I didn't realize the message of it until I rewatched the Justice League show for a month now. As a kid, it was funny seeing a kid's television show displaying Nazis being killed when throughout the whole season, no one died in any other episodes. As a kid, I baffled when they showed a frozen Hitler. As a kid, I rarely saw racism portrayed in kids shows. I agree that the subject matter shouldn't be taught to kids in a blatant way, but it's a discussion we shouldn't hide from them for so long. The people in charge of the media need to find ways of portraying these subjects without indoctrination of any philosophy. But this is impossible when the media today is in collusion with an overreaching government. Operation Mockingbird is the number one example that supports this conspiracy theory of a larger collusion between our government and industries. President Lyndon B. Johnson deliberately fed the American people fake news about the Vietnam War to keep the Americans in war. President Joe Biden colluded with big tech, big media, and the FBI to suppress, cover up, and manipulate the breaking and damning news story of Hunter Biden's laptop. My old Twitter account was suspended when I retweeted the very exact same story. Not just me, but a shit ton of people did for sharing the truth. We have literal CNN calls provided by Project Veritas who legit said to not cover the story and make it seem like a Fox echo chamber conspiracy. We have more than enough evidence to dismantle the CIA, FBI, and NSA. I don't like abolishing government entities, but these three have all their creations in the roots of powerful military hell bent on profiting from war, division, and fear. President Eisenhower said it the best during his farewell acceptance speech. We cannot allow the military industrial complex to be able to lead the American ideology. This is when I bring up our founding fathers into the story. In school, we are taught the creation of America was all about equality. As a true patriot to this country, that is a fucking lie. Once you read plenty about our country's origins and who the people are, America wasn't created by equality. America was created by compromising. South Park's I'm a Little Bit Country episode tackles the question of what the founding fathers would want us to do. We must have our cake, yet eat it too. Our founding fathers were a mixed bag of ideas, backgrounds, and beliefs. Thomas Jefferson thought Native Americans were equal to the white man, but inferior due to their traditions and lifestyles. Thomas Jefferson hated slavery and wanted out of the country since the beginning. But Jefferson was a very staunch racist towards black people. George Washington, despite being the president of the United fucking States, the very first one, the man didn't want nothing to do with the fucking country. The man wanted nothing to do with the formation. He took a backseat at the convention while some other dude was ahead of it. George Washington was only made president and thrown to the forefront because he had the wisdom, the knowledge of war, and the name recognition to get all Americans behind. My dude just wanted to be on his fucking farm with his sugar mama. John Hancock was pro Native American, with him advocating for their representation during the Continental Conventions. Benjamin Franklin used the Iroquois Confederacy, the Great Law of Peace, as a template for the Constitution. You had plantation owners who wanted slavery, and you had abolitionists who wanted to start this country under the banner of true equality. Some of our founding fathers were terrorists, patriots, and or traitors. I know that may be un-American to say, but a real American will understand this after analyzing everything they can learn about this country's origin. The birth of this country is far more complicated when it comes to the relationships with each other, the world, and Native Americans. Yet, despite all the differences, we came together and told the British to fuck off. We were the first of many dominoes to topple an oppressive government that ruled the world. Constitution is a product of its time and has been amended throughout history in order to give rights to humans who are in this country together. Past leaders have fucked up big time, but yet made huge progressions for this country. We have no control over what happened in the past, but we can use the hindsight to further our country for the better in the future. The true American ideology is compromise. We have been at war with the practice of slavery since the beginning of the conventions. You had loyalists who wanted slavery so they could keep trading with Britain. The abolitionists had to bite a moral bullet and compromise on the three-fifth rule. After the Revolutionary War, we created other states where president after president fought to end and or support slavery. Reading Kansas is my go-to example when it comes to Americans violently destroying each other because of political views. This is what I fear that is going to happen right now in our country. Civil war. We failed our country by letting big government gain an upper hand into our rights, privacy, and beliefs. America isn't a fascist state, but we are getting there. Suppressing anyone does nothing but calls for violence. John Brown is notorious for his Harper Ferry takedown. I think he's a fucking idiot for almost giving the South exactly what they wanted in their rhetoric that black people and Northerners were violent. John Brown did this for the voiceless. No matter what you think, January 6th wasn't a coup, but the result of rhetoric mixed with a dangerous reality. Everyone should be considered a terrorist on that day, and we should make fun of them for being fucking idiots for listening to another moron who wanted to incite division. January 6th happened because America was swindled by Biden, the deep state, the Democrats, and the Republicans. Everyone forgets that Trump went in 2016 with no allies or friends. Uh, Everyone only listened to Trump when he called out George Bush for lying to us into an unnecessary war based on flimsy intel by the CIA. Trump went after the very people who Americans felt betrayed by. Obama doesn't give a shit about black people. When it comes to the man who bombs brown kids across the ocean, not upholding his abortion rights for important businesses are at stake, Obama sat down at his desk and did nothing for Dakota pipelines when the solution was already on his desk. He threatened to lock up journalists who spoke out against him and slashed the Border Patrol's infrastructure funds, leaving the people at the border to be sheltered in cages and tinfoil blankets, all while talking down religious people only for him to evoke God for its benefits. He also destroyed the automobile, which a lot of black people did work in. After learning all of this and actually thinking about it, you start to hate Obama even more. Obama, Clinton, and Bush are by far the worst presidents I have ever lived through. Trump is a landmark, and dear fucking God, I cannot believe I am really saying this. But he is the best president I have seen in my lifetime. I don't like Donald J. Trump, but a bigger person who isn't blindsided by division, race, politics, religion will see this as well. He's a fucking idiot, but that doesn't mean his ADHD autistic big mouth doesn't spit some fruits of truth every once in a while. So I've ranted a bit so far, but when does the Justice League episode come into play? The reason why Donald J. Trump has been attacked for the past 10 years because he scares those behind the scenes. People behind the scenes needed a scapegoat, and Trump was that big, white, cis male rich man who is indeed racist, sexist, and every phobia in the world. I have no clue if he is or not. Maybe I am blindsided by all the lies I was fed by the left and the Democrats over the past 10 years. Perhaps I do believe that I don't have the wool over my eyes. I have no clue. But I do have instincts, and my instincts tell me that Trump isn't what the media portrays him to be. He is an overreaching narrative fueled by hatred in order to keep the power of American people by those who want to stay in control. Why else would huge government figures like Hillary, Drink Myself in the Woods, Clinton lie about collusion with Russia? No, wait, actually, she is right. There was collusion with Russia because it was Hillary herself buying fake fucking intel from them. For 3 years, that's what the media was all about. Van Jones himself said it was a nothing burger. Trump was the perfect man to fit the bill for all the white stereotypes, and they ran with it. Not all white people are the same, just like how not all black people are the same. You have black Republicans with black Democrats. You have far left Muslims and far right Muslims. Wonder Woman saved Steve Trevor and his ally in the Savage Times from being killed. Steve's ally is a German, to Wonder Woman's surprise. The ally says Germans are not all the same. Wonder Woman believes him. This line sticks with me so much more now because after learning so much history, this is very true. Majority of Germans didn't like Hitler or the Nazis. They only gained power because of the Great Depression and Hitler drifting into the past for glory days. Hitler is the luckiest motherfucker to not be assassinated. Even when all the assassination attempts occurred, he made it out alive. Everyone needs to watch Valkyrie with Tom Cruise. It was an attempted coup by German officials who wanted Hitler out of power by blowing him up and rushing to gain control. The movie is fucking nerve wracking because I was praying these guys succeeded, but reality speaks the truth. We are all not the same. That is true. In Africa, we will see clans, tribes, groups, whatever the PC term is now these days, attack one another for their culture and sell them off to Europeans. Rwanda, Sudan, Somalia, and other countries are examples of hatred towards each other who are different. We are not the same. In America, the Comanche were some evil motherfuckers who genocided 3 to 4 tribes before the Europeans even arrived. Comanche and Apache attacks would lead to arrogant, ignorant settlers attacking the Navajo people when America had good standings with them at the time. We are all not the same. This phrase can be used for good and evil. You have Hillary calling people deplorable for not liking her. You have Bernie Sanders calling Larry Elder the blackface for white supremacy. You have black people calling other black people, sorry for saying this, calling each other coons and Uncle Toms. We have white people calling other white people white knights and race traitors. We are not the same as a phrase used to drive division. Yet, it's a rallying cry to identify the majority from the fringe minority. South and North Vietnam knew this during the Vietnam War. All of Europe, Russia, and Asia would know this phrase, we are not the same, during the Cold War era. Right now in the Middle East, we are seeing that evolve into more chaos. You have Arabs and Israelis duking it out for land that belongs to both people. Books by Eric H. Klein's 1177 BC and after 1177 BC are fantastic, and I recommend them for a read because they dive into the early history of the Middle East. I'm sorry to say, folks, but Palestine does not deserve all that land, and neither does Israel. If we're being honest, that region belongs to at least 10 tribes of people who have all been persecuted by higher powers in charge, from Canaanites to the land of the lords. Especially when the Assyrians came to power, they relocated everyone and anyone. We are not the same. But it was at that moment when Arabs and Israelis finally stood side by side and fought against a higher power. We are not the same, but I will fight along your side. That should be the new catchphrase. In Justice League, we see Green Lantern John Stewart standing up with 4 white Americans. Bulldozer is clearly a racist who believes black soldiers should be with other black soldiers. This is a sad reality during World War II. Bulldozer is constantly belittling Stewart, but Stewart lays some hands, protects his fellow brothers in arms, and shows valor through the episode. We don't know if Bulldozer accepted Stewart in the end, but I like to think going out your way for the same fight gains respects in those eyes who look down upon you. Superman, Hawkgirl, and the Flash ally with the Blackhawks, a group of pilots from countries under the Axis power regime. We are not the same, but I will fight along your side. The Axis powers even used this phrase. Mussolini didn't like Hitler because he was a socialist, but he fought with him because Mussolini and Hitler both hated capitalism more. We are not the same, but I will fight along your side. Hitler was able to get Muslims onto his side due to their common disinterest of the Jewish people. We are not the same, but I will fight along your side. Some Muslims didn't even like Hitler. Some went out of their way to help Jews escape the Holocaust. We are not the same. I will help you out. I don't know where I'm trying to go with this, or if I just wanted to get on a soapbox for a minute. But what that Justice League episode taught me is that no matter our differences in countries, beliefs, race, ideology, faith, or environment, we can succeed together by coming together and compromising in the bigger fight. We have Americans, Polish, French, and Amazonian, Martian, Tonians, Nanikarian, and a German all fighting against the Nazis. We are all not the same. I will fight along your side. I want to leave this video with quotes of Daryl Davis, a true American hero who is doing God's work by taking the hatred out of KKK members and getting them to leave the Klan through discussion, love, and understanding so they can reach a compromise on why it's bad to leave that hatred behind. Please, please do share this video out of any videos I can say. This is the one I really do want to be shared for the love of our country. Please do share it. I would highly recommend, if there's a book I can recommend, Tulsi's Gabars for the love of country. Read it, purchase it, and please study it. It's a book for Republicans, Democrats, individuals, and non-political affiliated people. And just enjoy these Daryl Davis quotes I strung along together to form a little cohesive narrative, I think. At the end, ignorance is the source of bias. If we cure that, there's nothing to fear and hate. Always keep the lines of communication open with your adversaries. If you spend 5 minutes with your worst enemy, it doesn't have to be about race. It can be about anything. You will find you both have something in common. As you build upon those commonalities, you're forming a relationship. And as you build that relationship, you're forming a friendship. Keep in mind, when two enemies are talking, they're not fighting, they're talking. They may be yelling and screaming, but at least they're talking. It's when talking ceases that the ground becomes fertile for violence. The greatest weapon against hate is education. Ignorance breeds fear and hatred, but by educating ourselves and others, we can combat these destructive forces. Change starts with a conversation. When we choose to listen instead of judge, we create space for empathy and understanding. We cannot change the past, but we can shape the future. It is up to us to create the world where hate has no place.